All right, Ben, I want to talk about psychiatric care. Obviously, an important component to what we do here. Not necessarily, but in most cases, it plays some sort of role
Yeah.
in a person's overall wellness package. And I want to just talk a little bit about why that is.
So I grew up in this industry, so I'm a little biased towards the psychiatry of it, and the clinical part of it, where somebody else might have different training. But if someone's coming in to a treatment center like ours, and we're dealing with the mental health issues that we deal with, medication and diagnosis are critical. Why is that? Because if we look at our philosophy and we look at a person's lifestyle and the 5 lanes that we've referred to in other videos and all of that, if we don't get the medication correct, if we don't get the diagnosis correct, it's like digging in the wrong area. And so it messes up the whole foundation. It's like a deck of cards, and if we don't have the right foundation, it can collapse on itself. So that's why medication management is so important to educate the patient and the family, and to monitor that very closely, and getting the diagnosis right and taking a conservative approach.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember on a personal level, I was very resistant to medication. Well, back in the day when I was using, I went to see this very well-known psychiatrist in New York City, and they didn't know what to do with me. And the main thing is that I couldn't stop using drugs. So they kept stacking medications, and before you know it, I'm on 5, 6 different medications, and I'm still a mess. I was not ready to get clean and sober and mentally well at that point. Ultimately, I was. And one by one, we started stripping those medications away. So that sort of left this bad taste in my mouth about psychiatric care. However, a couple of years later, I started experiencing a symptom. I would say it's a symptom associated with a mild form of OCD. And it got to the point where all of the spiritual work I had been doing, all of the clinical work wasn't moving the needle. And so I finally surrendered again, another surrender, a couple years into sobriety, where I had to go see a doctor. Obviously, a non-narcotic medication. I can never take a narcotic. But and I consulted my 12-step mentor at the time, and he said, yeah, you do need this medication. And I became open to it, and it really moved the needle for me. Just a small dose of a mild medication really did wonders. So I've become more open to that approach. And when we got together and I saw how much emphasis you placed on psychiatric care, I was like, all right, well, let's find the best and bring him in-house. And I was super excited to bring on Dr. Rick Seeley.
Sure.
So Dr. Seeley, Princeton-educated, former psychiatrist for the Miami Dolphins, a veteran in this field, and we really trust him to run with the ball in tandem with you, because he needs to know what's going on clinically, and you need to know what's going on psychiatrically.
Yeah, no, and we consult on cases, and we've known each other for 30 years, and all of that builds the foundation for the patient and the family. And I like what you said. You were open to medication because you were sober, right? If you're not sober, it doesn't matter. They put you on 10 medications. You're not going to get better.
Sure.
So it all goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and it's just great to see that, since we started in September of 21, over the years, we have built up a fantastic supporting cast of psychiatric nurses, full-time nurses, and so I feel like if anyone's going to get it right on the medication, it's going to be us.
Yes, for sure.